business minds and thought leaders share the secrets to success. Welcome to Call Me Successful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are very grateful and humbled to have the one and only Simon Finlayson with us. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Let's start off. What did you do before real estate?
Cooked chicken at KFC.
Yeah, wow. When was this? So when did you start real estate?
2004.
Yeah, wow. So you've been doing it for about 21 years now.
Correct, yes.
So where did you start? Is it still on the Gold Coast?
Gold Coast my entire career. Started cooking chicken, realised that it was a bit dirty, oily. Wasn't really going to pay the bills to get me to where I wanted to go in life. My father at the time said, you got to go out there and get a real job. So did that. Didn't want to go to uni. Didn't want to do any of those sorts of things. So I thought, well, what could I go and get a job? And on the Gold Coast at the time, it was pretty limited. You either got into construction, which just didn't bode well for me. I didn't like the idea of that sort of thing. I thought, no, the kitchen's sort of sweaty and dirty enough. Don't like that. Definitely won't like being a builder's apprentice or something along those lines. And I had a mate of mine at the moment at that time that was a plumber's apprentice. I thought, no, I don't like the look of that. So there was like really limited options. Like you either got into like a store retail, which I didn't want to do, or real estate. So I thought, yeah, that'll do. We knew friend knew someone, and he said, yeah, I'll give you a gig. And I went, yeah, all right. Well, better than cooking chicken, and that was it.
So you went from selling chicken to selling real estate.
Yeah, a couple of steps in between, but in a roundabout way, yes.
So it goes to show, like, real estate, we always think it's, everyone can get in there and do a good job. Like,
and I am proof that is true.
You're proof of that till this day.
Anyone can do it.
Wow. So what happened in the first year? Tell me your journey. What happened in the first year of Simon's career?
I didn't, very different to, I suppose, now. And even though it's the same 20 years ago, I suppose, in the generational change of real estate, especially on the Gold Coast, it's been like absolutely immense. So 20 years ago, there weren't any of, like the Cuttermans, the Brad Wilsons or anything along those lines. Probably the Gold Coast real estate industry back then was mainly dominated by semi-retired people that looked at real estate as a bit of a hobby. You could do it a few hours a day. You'd work on the weekends. You'd sort of have a bit more of a lifestyle come and go. There were very few career real estate agents that turned up every day, went to the office every single day, worked for their clients, doing 5, 6, 7 days a week. It just wasn't the norm. And the average age, it would have been 50, 60 plus. So for me, and that back then as a 17, nearly 18-year-old, to come in, like there was no sales gigs available, or definitely not at the agency that I started with. It was like a boutique mum and dad sort of agency, very successful agent. He'd had a big business and then was sort of getting towards sort of the later part of his career. Still had a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but just didn't want the big agency anymore, so sort of scaled it back. So I came in kind of like the office gopher, I suppose you could say. Helped out this, delivered paperwork here, picked up this, did all sorts of things, but nothing really serious. Learned to sort of do all the admin side of things in the office. And then about a month in, the administrator that they had got let go. So it was like, great, you're now on the computer answering the phones. You're the receptionist. So I was like, okay, cool. So I did that, then kind of sort of aligned myself more with the principal and sort of helped him a lot more. And it was probably about 6, 7 years or so into all of that I said, no, I want to have a crack at this sales sort of thing myself, see how I go. And yeah, that was sort of what started beyond that.
It's so uncanny because there's so many great real estate agents and principals in the Gold Coast that have started in admin, have started in reception.
Yeah.
And nowadays we've got all these new people coming in and they're like, hey, can I be an agent in 3 months' time, 6 months' time? That must frustrate you sometimes.
It does, but it doesn't. Like, I think where it does, the frustrating side of things is they don't probably fully understand that side of the business. And like, I know everyone talks about it, and every office will have say quarterly days or awards nights, and everyone gets up there and goes, oh, we thank our admin and we thank our support because without you we couldn't do it, and blah blah blah. And you can literally take that speech, and I bet you it'll be told at every single real estate agency's next awards night. And like, the fact remains, like, until you've actually done that role, you don't fully understand exactly how important it is. And we see new people come into the business, which, like, in a few months getting quite a lot of success. And they're like, but I need this and I need this and I need this. And I love that. But where you find the balance between that and having the understanding and I suppose the appreciation for just how crucial that role is probably something that the industry as a whole could do better, because until you've actually done it, you don't really fully understand exactly how integral it is to being successful. Like, there's no way in our business all of our agents could do what we do at the volume we do without great administrators and support people behind us. So simple as that.
So your apprenticeship was almost 7 years.
Yeah.
And then you worked as an agent in that boutique that you started in?
Correct. I was there for nearly 10 years. And I went out to sales 6 years, 7 years, I suppose, apprenticeship. And at that time, Gold Coast got really hit hard by the GFC. Like I tell people nowadays, like, we used to average like 0.5 of an inspection per open homes. You'd be doing 10 open homes on a Saturday, and if you saw 5 people, it was like phenomenal. Like, if we got 2 groups through an open home, like, that was a really great result. If we got 3 or 4 people or even more through an open home, we were literally calling owners afterwards and going, hey, like, put the champagne on ice. Like, we're selling today. This has been fantastic. Like, that's how tough it was. So I went out into sailing with all the exuberance and enthusiasm. It actually took me 9 months to make my first sale. So financially, that was a lesson in itself.
Was your principal very patient with you in that 9 months?
Yeah, he was, and incredibly supportive. And yeah, it's something I'll be forever thankful for. And keep in mind, like, the top agents on the Gold Coast at that time were probably only doing 30, 40 transactions a year. Like, I still remember there was an agent from a different brand that got written up in the paper as being like the all-time record holder, and he did just a little bit over 400,000 in GCI. Now we know people that are doing twice that in a month. So that's just, I suppose, just how much the market has grown, how much the industry has grown, how much agents in particular have grown as well. So yeah, it's a completely different landscape now to what it was back then.
So when did you actually take off as an agent? So 9 months, 1 sale. Is that also coincided with the fact that agents became being a real estate agent became more of a career choice rather than a pastime when you're 50 years old and things? Like, when did your career take off?
Oh, I'm probably a little hard on myself. As I say, I've been doing it 20 odd years. And I've probably only done anything significant, I say, probably in the last 4 to 5 years. So yeah, the first 15 odd years, like, it was good. Like, we were successful as such, but we thought so. But a lot of it was really just learning, and a lot of life changes happened. A lot of maturity happened, and I remember just one day sitting there going, no, it's time to go pro. Like,
what was that moment? Is that one single moment?
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it was probably more around the birth of our daughter, and that kind of, like, I remember just sitting there going, God, like, we're doing all these things, and like, some months, like, the bank account's good. Some months it's not so good. And I remember struggling and going, no, and I just went, no, like enough's enough. Like we got to get some consistency with what we're doing. And we've got to, like all the things that we tell everyone to do, it's time that we actually start doing that ourselves. So, and just made that decision literally early one morning, split decision, just said, yeah, like today's the day that it starts. Like we draw a line in the sand and away we go.
And what led you to that decision to leave the boutique? Is that from there you went to Ray White, or was
No. So there was I remember there was a really, really great guy that I sort of got to meet, and he had a bunch of businesses. I don't know, are we allowed to mention
You're allowed to mention names, yeah, go for it.
So Justin Nickerson, great guy, auctioneer, and I think probably one of the best, if not one of like the best sort of auctioneer going around, and phenomenal human being. At that time, he had his auction business, and you and a couple of other people, and he said, hey, there's a business in Brisbane that I do a bit of work with, which was Coronas. And he said they're looking sort of for someone to sort of do a bit of training and that sort of stuff, because they had a real estate training academy sort of attached to their business. He said, is that something you'd be interested in? I thought, oh, well, yeah, like I'll look at it. So I went and had a meeting with Andrew, and I remember just walking out there, just being awe-inspired, just going, because up until that moment, every single principal, or I suppose leader of an agency or group that I'd ever met, you could just tell they were real estate agents that just went big. But this was probably the first person that I ever interacted with in the industry. He was a business person first and foremost, and an agent that was like maybe 2 or 3 on the list. And I was like, well, that's an ultimate game changer. And because I was looking at it going, how's he grown this big business? And he's talking about obviously all the property managements he's got, and all these sorts of things. I was just sitting there going, like, from a little guy from the Gold Coast that was just wanting to get to, like, my goal as a salesperson was to get to do 1 sale a month. I knew if I could get to 12 sales a month, I'd at least have 1 payday a month, and that should cover like my expenses. Then I thought, well, what if I could get to 2 sales a month? Like, how fantastic. I'd be making 24 sales a year. I'd be one of the best agents sort of going around as far as volume goes. Fantastic. And then I met with him and he said, mate, we got people here doing like 50 plus sales a year. And I've gone like, what, like 1 a week? Like, he's like, yeah, some even like will do like nearly 2 a week. And I was like, mind blown. So immediately he had me. I was on the hook there. So I went and worked with them for a couple of years, and that was fantastic. That's probably where I first learned proper volume and scalability of what we do as a salesperson. But I was very close to a couple of people within Ray White, and they knew at the time like where I was working, what I was doing. They said, look, come back down like to sort of more Central Coast. We got an opportunity, and I kind of went, no. But then they made me an offer one day, and I was like, you know what? And I made the decision that I was getting out of the job I was, and my idea was that I was just going to have like a break for a couple of months. But then once they heard that I was out, they pretty much that day said, but what about if we did this? And I was like, yeah, perfect. So went and did that, then started running an office for Ray White out of Southport. Did that for 4 or 5 years within the Surface Paradise Group. And I remember I got to the stage where you're managing people, but managing people for someone else. And it was always really difficult because, and I'm sure you'd agree, like if you ask someone to do something now, like you're the boss, you're the principal, there's a certain sort of authority that comes to that. And it's not like anyone could go around you and go, oh, hey, but Avi said to do this, but is it cool we do this? And they go, yeah, go for it. No, like the buck stops ultimately with you, the good and the bad. That was kind of missing, and I always felt like I was the right or the wrong. It was always someone else's business. So I just made a decision and said, you know what, I want to get out of this, and I want to just go full-time sailing and really sort of go hard at what it is that I want to do. So we did that. What are we now, 2000 and...
So when you did that, when you left that business as a leader
Yep.
to become a full-time agent again,
Yep.
this is when you really
really
took
went.
off.
Absolutely. So that was probably about 2018-ish, I
18-ish.
suppose, I'd say, thereabouts, 2019. It was a couple of years before the COVID craziness.
So this is all in the northern Gold Coast corridor from
No,
Southport
so
to
Southport all the way through, and then did that, and it was great. Like I was a leader in that particular office. I resigned from that and just became a salesperson in that same office, which was interesting in itself because you're kind of in a position where you just want to be focused on sales. You don't want to sort of muddy the waters for anyone else. But yeah, it was good. Worked really well. Then COVID came, and like a lot of people in the industry at that time, there's probably two really pivotal moments in my career. One was obviously when the GFC hit and watching that unfold. That was like, wow, like what's this going to mean for us? And then two was obviously the start of COVID, which like at the beginning, like we were all told like property is going to go through the floor. You had all the major banks coming out and sort of making all sorts of crazy predictions. It was just a really unsettling time, but we managed through all of that. And obviously real estate didn't do anything like what anyone predicted it would, which was,
So the area that you found, Coomera?
No, so at that stage it was in Southport,
Southport.
Labrador, all around that. But we'd always get the odd thing up the northern end of the Gold Coast, and knew a guy up there who was running a pretty good business, also on Ray White, and he said, "Hey, look, like there's an opportunity up here." Like I always felt the problem with where I was previously was I then started doing a lot more. But there wasn't really anyone to sort of bounce ideas off. Like the office was pretty much full of or made up of like a couple of other agents that were trying, but there were newcomers, and I kind of wanted like, how would I say, like it's much easier always to chase than trying to be the leader of the pack. Especially I find from a sales position. So when we're doing all these things, like we're trying to grow a team and do high volume and all that sort of stuff, there wasn't really anyone else in the office that I could bounce ideas off. And there were other people in the group, but it's not the same. And I knew a couple of the guys on the Northern Gold Coast who now are business partners with me, and I could see what they were doing, and I could see their numbers, and I could see they were doing better and better and better. Like Jason, who one of our business partners now, he and I started all the way back at Coronas. Then he went off to another agency, and obviously I went to Ray White before he sort of eventually came back. So I sort of was watching his career and seeing the numbers he was doing. It's like, I want to sort of be around that. So principal said, well, actually, there's an opportunity. Like, do you want to come and join us and have a market and do that? And I went, absolutely. Like, let's make it happen. So I did that, went to Coomera, and very quickly started to get some runs on the board, some serious runs on the board. And I think we've been now 2 years in a row of like 100 plus sales, which, I said, like for a kid that only ever wanted to do 24 sales a year to now be saying that we're doing 100 plus is just mind blowing.
I think at one stage you were happy with 12.
Yeah, well, 12, mate. I would have. Well, to be honest, like my first ever like big goal for GCI was to write 500 a year. And I thought if I could do that, mate, I'm made. Like I'm king. Then I think that's around about that time, Ray White, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Ray White moved the goalpost for elite to 600. I thought, if we could one day get to elite, like 10 years ago, like this chairman elite thing, they didn't even talk about it. Like, no, it was like a couple of people within the state. It was like a little closed group, and it's not even worth recognising. Like they just spoke about Premier and elite. So I remember just thinking and like dreaming one night going, man, if I could ever get to elite 600 in a year, like I would be, I'd just be the king of the Gold Coast. And then you sort of start to, then when you get there, you start to go, oh God, like there's so much more that I
So
need to know.
much to do.
There's so much more that we've missed out on. There's so much more. And I remember as a team, like the first time we ever got to 1 million in GCI, and I was like, oh my God, like we've made it. But then I remember thinking to myself immediately going, oh God, we still got so far to go. Like we always think that that's the peak of the mountain. Once you get there, it's sort of game over as such, or you've done it. But I think that's one of the great things with this job is the more we do it, the more we go on, the more we really learn that there's still so much more out there to learn and grow and know.
I wanted to unpack more of this Coomera thing because that's when your career really, really took off, right?
Yep.
To get to 1 million. What was it about that office or what you did or the people that you're around that made you go, look, I can write a mill now. I can do Chairman's Elite now. Like, what made you get to that 100 sales a year?
Competition fixes everything.
Internal, external,
both.
self?
Both. But
Yeah.
you've got to want it yourself, and you've got to have the dream and the vision for it. And I think anyone that's going into business, because effectively at the end of the day, like if you're a single real estate agent, or you're a principal, or you've got a like it doesn't matter what your business is, whether you're the coffee shop owner over the road or whatever it is. If you don't have a vision to say, what would it actually look like if we hit this out of the park? So you kind of know what you're sort of chasing towards. If you're just turning up every day and hoping for the best, I don't think that's a recipe for success either. So you've got to kind of know where it is that you want to go. And if this thing does go 10 out of 10, what does that look like for you? So with us, the competition internally, me sort of pushing myself and saying, hey, I want for more and more and more was a big part of it. But also having others in the office that you can bounce off, making sure you're in the right environment, making sure you got the right people behind you, making sure you got the right people there. Like a previous principal that I had, I remember when I stepped out on to say, hey, look, I want to get out of leadership and go into sales. And he's like, awesome. And then I was having lunch with him one day and he's the sales director, so it was the three of us. And he goes, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I said, one of the goals I'd really love is to do 200 sales a year. And he just laughed at me. And he went, oh. He goes, really? I said, yeah. He goes, oh. I said, well, look, like first I want to sort of get to 50 and then 100. He's like, 100? I said, yeah, that's probably there. And if we can get to 100, then all we got to do is scale it and we'll get to 200. He's like, mate, the best agent in our business, but he's only doing 70 sales. But sure, if you think you can get to 100, all the very best. I remember walking away from that going, oh God, if he doesn't believe in it or he doesn't want, like, then what chance have I got? So yeah, making sure you're surrounded and you're in the environment that the right people are going to support you for that is also a huge, huge part of it.
And obviously you had that incredible self-belief that you're going to get there with what you've learned, what you do.
Yeah. And like I take my hat off to a lot of that sort of motivation for me came, I suppose, once I became a father and you got other people that are in the world that are sort of you're responsible for it and those sorts of things. I wish I would have had that motivation and that drive earlier on in life. Like I see some of the younger generation of agents coming through that just phenomenal, much, much better than I ever was. Much more driven and motivated their stage in life than what I am. If I could go back 15 years now, I suppose we'd all say that, yeah, it'd be an ultimate game changer. But yeah, a lot of that just was, I think, internal growth that had to happen, and I'm very fortunate that it did and sort of got me on the path and the journey to where I am today. So.
And what I've noticed from what you guys have done in that corridor, you're incredible believers of the auction process. Yeah. And you've almost redefined how auctions should work, certainly in the Gold Coast, Northern Gold Coast corridor. Yep. Take us through that process. What do you do to list those auctions? Yep. And why is it the type of auctions you list? Why have you gone down that path?
Well, we do everything sort of online, where as much as we can. We do the odd one or two a year on-site auctions. Last week we did some in-rooms with a sort of a hybrid model, in-room online. But for us, it ultimately is a business decision. one for the client, for us as a business, and then obviously as an agent and those sorts of things. And then I suppose how we sort of came to that decision. Ultimately, it is client first, and you've got to have that belief in yourself to say, right, what is the method of sale that, if we just play the averages, and pretty much all I've done now, my entire career, and all I do now on a day-to-day basis is I just play the averages. I understand I'm not the best salesperson out there. I'm not the best leader out there. I'm not the number one, whatever it may be. But if we just play to our strengths, look at the data, see what that tells us, and then just sort of make logical decisions, more often than not, we're going to win. So when we look at that in our market and go, right, there's been, I think there was 111 sales that happened in my market for the last quarter. And you break those sales down and you look at to say, right, what are the real standout prices? And then look at the campaigns that happened with those. More often than not, and we do this in Brad's market in Upper Coomera, Jason's market, we can do it in Pimpama, and you look at where the real records, and yeah, there's always going to be that odd one record that was off market and there's a person and blah, 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 blah. But by playing the numbers, like, we see that more records are created through the auction method. So if you come to me as a seller and say, hey, Simon, we want to sell our property, and we are serious about getting a premium for it, and we want to chase a record price, it's only logic that I put in front of you the method that more often than not achieves that. Yes, you might be the lucky one that in pre-market you get a buyer that's there for that day, that's just sold, that's all of that. Great, we can cater for that as well. But when you break down all the sales that happen, more records have sort of achieved through the auction than anything else. So from there, we went, right, auction's going to work. We do volume. So we don't want, obviously, to carry finance clauses, building and pest clauses, subject to sales and all those sorts of things. We're also in a very transient, I suppose, multiple transaction market as well. There's not a lot of people in our market that can afford to sell without knowing where they're buying. And there's a lot of people that can't afford to buy without having sold, and they need the money from that. Like my wife and I, we're going through that at the moment, but she refuses to sell our house until she knows exactly where she's going, because she doesn't want to uproot our daughter and all those sorts of things, which is really like very real feelings for everyday sort of sellers to go through. So we don't have that luxury as like in a premium markets. Like I've talked to other agents that I know that work in the prestige space, like, oh yeah, we just do like 6 and 12 month settlements, and it gives them all plenty of time. Like, that's not realistic in our market. We need to, people need to make decisions and sort of go over. So how do we best manage that? Well, there's nothing worse than selling Avi's house, and then you pack up your life and your family and you've gone and bought something else, and you've only got 30 days to turn that around. And then I tell you on day 14, very sorry, Avi, unpack all of those boxes because the buyer's finance just fell over, and let's go again. And we're going to be back here on Saturday for open homes, and really sorry about that. I don't know the house that you're trying to buy, but yeah, you're going to miss out on that. But that's okay. We'll find you another buyer, and then hopefully we can find you another house, and it's just a heartache. So we looked at that and said, right, well, how do we mitigate against all of that? Again, an auction works. How does it let us control the time frame? An auction works. So if I'm giving you as a seller more clarity around the transaction, if I'm giving you finality around that as well, I'm giving you clear decisions, and I'm giving you a clear time frame, and I'm giving you the best opportunity out there to achieve a record price all day long by the length of the straight, that would be my go-to. So from there, we just built it out.
So looking back 12 months ago, auctions working, you guys,
Yep.
Jace, Brad, top 10, top 3 in the network, GCI, top 10, top 3 in the network, number of sales, time on market. You're leading on everything, just about everything. Then why business ownership? This is working really well, right? What led you guys? What's the inner belief? Where are you guys going with this? Why start a business, 3 of you guys together?
Truth be told, we got fired. Yeah, so all 3 of us, moment's notice, got walked out the door, hand your keys back in. So that kind of threw everything that we were doing on its head.
So business ownership kind of was forced on you in a way, or
look, it, and there's probably a bit more to that. Maybe that's part 2 of the podcast. But we were working in a business where there was a lot of changes that needed to be made. One from our point of view, but from obviously everyone else. And it was really like you could start to really feel the culture within the business was changing. So we voiced our concerns, and it kind of got to the point that those concerns weren't really being dealt with or handled the way that we would have liked them to have been. And it's probably very easy to sit there, and I'm sure on the other side of things that go, oh yeah, but you were just high-performing salespeople's want. I can guarantee definitely not the case. Like, I know the internal conversations between the 3 of us, and every single conversation was all around how can we make that office better for everyone. So, but it just didn't work out. And as a result, the conversations fell apart. And yeah, we were all told to walk then and there, hand your keys in, pack up your desks and go. Brad and I took that business leader for coffee then and there and had lunch and just said, like, please don't do this. Like, this is a wrong decision. And they just went, no, sorry, we've made the decision, we're moving on. So we went, okay. So we all went back to Brad's house. It was a Friday, I think. Yeah, it was a Friday afternoon. We're all sitting around Brad's table knowing that we had, I think, 20, 25 odd open homes the very next day. We had no access to emails. We had no access to systems. We had no access to anything. Literally all we had was our laptops, which we could load up a Google page, but that was about it, and our phones, and that was it. But we had nothing, and we had to create a plan then and there to say, right, well, how are we going to get on? It was Friday. We had last weekend of auctions, open homes for auctions. We had auctions that coming Tuesday. We couldn't let those owners down, and we couldn't in any way, shape or form. It would have been very easy at that moment to go to all those owners to go, hey, this is what's happened, all the very best, we can't help you. But no, we couldn't let any of them down. So we had to just make it work. And then obviously in the conversations that followed from there, we had every man and his dog calling us. Like,
trying to recruit you?
Oh, yeah. Like,
I don't think I did. I didn't call you.
No, yeah. the one that we really wanted. No, but we had every single, and they all say the same old things. Oh, we'd love to do this. We'd love to do that's cool. Like our immediate focus were we told all of our team then and there. Like I think about 5 or 6 people on my team. Brad probably had about 7 or 8. Jason, who was caravanning around the country at that stage, so he wasn't even in the state, and was terminated as well along with us that day. He had a team of people. And we said to every single one of them, like, you come with us. I don't even know if we're going to be around in a week's time. It was beginning of December, so it's like a few weeks out from Christmas. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how we're going to pay. We don't know what we're going to do. All that's up in the air. But if you want to come with us, great. But if you don't and you're scared about it, we fully get it. Like, it is fully understandable. And every single one of them said, no, we're coming. Like, we don't care. Like, don't pay us. Like, I even had people saying, hey, look, don't pay me wages for a few months. Like, we don't care. Like, we're just here because we want to be with you and go on this journey. So those sorts of things in that moment, I think, one, you really test yourself to see what you're capable of, and you really get to see those people around you. And we were just incredibly fortunate that we were surrounded by just some of the best humans in the world. So.
I just feel like somehow, where you start in your career, 7 years in, then 10 years in that role, it sort of all came full circle for you, and you're leading the admin teams and you're leading the data teams, and everything else is just like all on you guys.
Yeah, but we've been thrown in the deep end. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think there's been there hasn't been one moment where I think we've sat back and gone, like, this is awful. We don't want this. Like, get us out of it. No, like, all of our experience, like Brad and Jason's experience when it comes to selling, has been vital through this. Like, obviously my my side of things with what I can lend to them in regards to like a business point of view has been great. But it's not so much the three of us, and I think the three of us get spoken about a lot. I think we're 54, 55 odd people throughout the entire business now. And I think it's those other ones, that's the 50 odd others that really are the stars of the show. Because without their support and their involvement, it never would have happened the way that it did. And there was plenty of exit doors along the way that we could have easily taken and just said, no, get us out of this. Like we're done. But yeah, it's worked out so far really well.
Nine months ago, we were sort of sitting there looking at the leaderboard and you guys are dominating individually. Mm-hmm. Now, 9 months on, we can see the newly formed, is it Alliance or Alliance? What do you call it? Because there's different ways to pronounce it. So now you guys are dominating in the top three as an office, as a group.
Yes.
So what is it? Is it Alliance?
Alliance.
Railway Alliance.
That was... all the great three-letter abbreviations were taken. So and there was no more military hardware to sort of to pull off. You took AKG and that was pretty much it. Like what else is there? So no, we because we're in a lot of different markets and we're growing. And we've been very fortunate that we've had some, as I said, like some really great people that have come to us along the way. And we're in markets that we don't have offices in. We've only got one office, so one shop front as such, which is again goes against the the tide of a lot of other real estate offices and businesses out there. So we needed a name that was going to help with that growth and not disadvantage those salespeople. We're not trying to be anything other than what a lot of people are, other businesses as such that are out there. So we needed a name of a collective, and we around a lot of different ideas, acronyms, but putting the first initials of Brad, Jason, and Simon together was not going to be a good marketing look, especially for a family-run real estate business.
There's a lot of people doing quick maths.
Yeah. They'll get it in about 20 seconds time. So, and we kind of went back to our core, and what was it? It's like, well, if we go back a year previous, when the three of us sort of started getting together and having a chat, what did we want to do then? And all we wanted was, we just wanted an alliance of the best real estate agents. I think when you really understand what that is, like, and we copped a lot of flack for it in the initial stages of it, because they went, oh yeah, they just want like the best multi-million-dollar writers, and that's it. And if you're not like a huge $1 million chairman lead agent, you're not going to sort of survive in that business. And the fact is, like, that is so untrue for what it is that we want. I don't care if you only want to write 200 or 300 or 400,000 in your sort of GCI terms, which if anyone's not a real estate agent looking, they'll probably go, what? But for real estate agents, you'll understand. Or if your ambitions are to be multiple millions, I don't care. Whatever that number is, if that's going to make you happy and make you live a 10 out of 10 life, then I just want you to go and chase that number. But I just want you to be the best at it. And that's something that we have right through the fabric. Our administrators, we got great people that go, you know what, I only just want to just do this. Like, I just want to be admin support. Great. Like, you got a job with us for your entire career. Let's just focus on you being the best. Or I just want to be a property manager. I don't want to do anything else. Great. How can we empower you to be the very best?
That brings us to our final question. Simon Finlayson, what's your definition of success?
Today or when?
Just tell me any time. Say this year. What do you think it is?
This year?
You're not supposed to ask me a question when I ask you that, by the way.
This year would probably be a very different answer to what it would have been last year, and would have been very different to the year before and the year before and the year before.
Tell me where you are today. What's your definition of success today?
I think it's just having a business and a workplace that it doesn't matter who you are or what it is that you want to achieve. You can come align yourself with us, be the best of what you do, and just be happy with it. I know that if we can do that and provide that for as many people as possible, then everything else will take care of itself. And like for me, that's pretty much my definition of success for myself now as well, is just to be happy and just do what we love. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Simon Finlayson, thanks for your time and thanks for appearing on Call Me Successful.
Thank you, Avi.
Thank you.